Hello, my name is Adam Mcleod. Today I'll be discussing capital punishment. I'm going to describe the issue, relevant data and statistics, other relevant research, and current practices and policies in the criminal justice field. So now let's talk about the issue of capital punishment. Capital punishment has been and always will be an issue here in the American criminal justice system. This topic is possibly the most controversial topic in the criminal justice field. Different people have their own opinion about this process, while many agree and many disagree. One of the biggest issues of the death penalty is simply the cost of it. Researchers say that life without parole is cheaper than the death penalty. Another big issue with this process is wrongful convictions, which has happened many times over the years. Very interesting, but some researchers suggest that the death penalty increases the number of homicides through a brutalization effect. There is a major issue with juveniles in the death penalty as well. The United States Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty for those who had committed their crimes under the age of 18 was cruel and unusual punishment and hence barred by the Constitution. Fairness is considered to be very important in this process as well. Death penalty opponents argue that capital punishment in the U.S. is applied arbitrarily and unfairly, particularly in regards to race and inadequate defense for poor people. Researchers say race is a big issue with the death penalty. A number of studies indicates that race or ethnic origin of defendants and or victims have an impact whether the death penalty is sought. Mentally retarded and the insane have ways around the death penalty, while many states forbid it against them and is also unconstitutional. The death penalty also goes against many religions as well. These issues of the death penalty will possibly go on forever. Now I'm going to talk about some data and statistics. Today in the United States, there are currently 35 states that have the death penalty. There have been a total number of 1,226 executions since the year 1976. Since the year 2000, there has only been 38 executions here in the United States of America. The most interesting statistic is there has been 130 offenders that have been released from death penalty due to evidence that they were innocent. The average cost of the death penalty is roughly about $2.4 million. 65% of the people in the U.S. support this process of the death penalty. I'm now going to discuss the race of the defendants that were executed. White people or Caucasian was executed 56% of the time. Blacks or African Americans 35% of the time, Hispanics 7%, and others were 2%. The number one way of execution was lethal injection and was done in over 1,000 of the people who have been on death row and executed. Electrocutions were used as well in many of the people who were on death row, and it happened 157 times. Since 1976, the year with the most executions was in 1999, and there were 98 people who were executed here in the United States of America. Executions were very big in the South, for counting over 1,000 executions in this area. Texas and Virginia counted for 570 executions. The Midwest counted for 143 executions. The West counted for 69 executions. The Northeast only counted for 4 executions. Now let's switch over and let's discuss some relevant research. In a 4-part series on the conduct of prosecutors in capital cases, the Arizona Republic examined allegations by appellate attorneys that prosecutorial misconduct occurred in nearly half of the state's capital cases since the year 2002. The South, which carries out the most executions of any region, again had the highest murder rate in 2012. More than 140 nations worldwide have abandoned capital punishment in law or practice. But here in the United States, it remains in the same company as other countries such as Iraq, Iran, and China, as one of the major advocates and users of capital punishment. The United States ranks 5th for the highest number of executions in the whole world. Here in the United States, Texas has the highest number of executions. And another interesting, some research that I came across was only 13 women have been executed since the year 1976. A 2009 poll commissioned by DPIC found police chiefs ranked the death penalty last among ways to reduce violent crime. The police chiefs also consider the death penalty the least efficient use of taxpayers' money as well. Death penalty cases tend to take a very long time, and researchers have said that these cases can take 3 to 5 times longer than a typical murder case. Scientific studies have consistently failed to demonstrate that executions deter people from committing crime any more than long prison sentences. Moreover, states without the death penalty have much lower murder rates. Although isolated passages of religious scripture have been quoted in support of the death penalty, almost all religious groups in the United States regard executions as immoral. Now let's switch over and talk about some of the practices and policies here in the criminal justice field. While many of the states use this form of execution, like gas or electrocution, most states today strictly use death by lethal injection because of its humane nature. The death penalty in the United States is almost exclusively for the crime of murder, although state and federal statutes contain various capital crimes other than those involving the death of the victim. There has been only 2 people who were on death row for a non-murder offense, Patrick Kennedy and Richard Davis, both from Louisiana, when the U.S. Supreme Court addressed this issue in 2008. All executions since 1976 have been for murder or conspiracy to commit murder, although other crimes are eligible for the death penalty depending on what state you live in. Although no one is on death row for the following crimes, capital offenses exist in the state law for various other crimes, such as treason in Arkansas, California, Colorado, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Washington. Aggravated kidnapping in Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Missouri, and Montana. Drug trafficking in Florida and Missouri. Aircraft jacking in Georgia and Missouri. Placing a bomb near a bus terminal in Missouri. And aggravated assault by incarcerated persistent felons or murders in Montana. That will conclude my presentation. Thank you. Have a great day.